So, morning, folks. How are you? It's early. It's somewhere around 6 o'clock. My watch is dead, unfortunately, so I can't tell you, but it's around 6 o'clock anyway. And I can tell you, looking out the window, that this morning absolutely screams bass. Look at that. It is beautiful out there, right? So, we have some settled conditions. We have low wind. We have decent tides. We have high pressure coming in over the country. So get your rods out, just down your waders and pull out your night gear. So I said I'd do a little segment on night fishing and on how we do it, what we do, what we tend to do, etc. So I think the most important thing is that you know the spot that you're night fishing, right? It's difficult to kind of come along to a spot that you don't know at all and fish it for the very first time at night. A, you have no idea what you're casting over. B, you're not used to the ground that you're walking on. You don't know where there might be holes or boulders or anything like that. And, it's just a kind of a mishmash of making things that little bit more difficult on you than they need to be, right? So my advice is any spot you're going to fish at night, go there in the day and go there at low water and have a look around, suss it out. Fellas say to me all the time, like, "Oh, you fish the front beach, but there's no feature. Like, how do you know where the fish are?" The front beach is actually, if you look, it's full of feature. It's very, very small. It doesn't look like much, but to the fish, it means a lot, right? So, for example, on Tramore, it strips out a long, long way. And when it strips on a spring, you can see that the reefs begin to expose, right? So you can see there's one in the middle of the beach, there's one right down the bottom end, out off the entrance to the Saline there. There's a big reef system out there. There are a couple of big reef systems in it, and it's worth having a fish around those, around the low water, right? Definitely. And then there are other various reef systems dotted. And the other thing is, if you have a spot on a beach where at high water all the big weed gets washed up into one spot, right? Then that tends to be a good place to fish if you can. If you can find clean water in and around that spot, right? Why? Well, because it's the natural dumping point on the beach, right? It's where the current on that beach is picking up everything from both sides, meeting and dropping it on the beach, right? So it's not just dropping the seaweed and the rubbish and all the other things. It's also pushing all the bait and everything else will all get pushed into that area, right? So it might be a bit trickier and the water might be a bit dirty on one side or the other. It tends to be you won't be able to fish one side, you'll be able to fish the other, etc., etc. But you'll only learn that by practice. So those are just a few tips before you even get started. Like, visit it during the day at low water, so you can walk around, have a look for feature, right? And by feature, I mean any kind of rock or whatever. If there's a stony patch and a bit of a weedy patch or whatever, the bass will love that. They'll hang on that. There might be a couple of fish will hang on that or whatever. They'll just see it as a bit of camouflage, bit of reef. They'll sit down, they'll sit low, they'll stay out of the main current, right? Then, as you're fishing the beach, you'll notice that there's current, right? So the current is either running right to left or left to right. And your job as a fisherman is to exploit that, right? Is to get the lure to work in that current, right? Is to get the current to work for you. So, like, I've already showed you a lot of what I fish on the beaches. So it tends to be this kind of stuff, right? So this is a 20 gram Seawolf 110 long-nosed white needle, right? And do I just cast and retrieve these? Well, yes, to a certain extent I do, but I